33-year-old Raymond Evans is behind bars for fatally beating his 34-year-old girlfriend Cecilia Perez and dumping her body. At 3:35 p.m. on Tuesday the 21st of November, Cecilia's body was found by workers clearing trees with heavy equipment in a rural field near North 98th Street and Havelock Avenue in Lancaster County, Nebraska. Cecilia had been reported missing days before a body was found, and she was believed to have been killed between the 17th of November and the 21st of November. Authorities said the killings took place at an apartment shared by the pair near 127th Street and Woodcrest Plaza in northwest Omaha, Nebraska. Investigators said forensic evidence linking Raymond to the crime was found at the home. The cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma. On Thursday the 23rd of November, Raymond was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and use of a weapon to commit a felony. The weapon used and the motive in the attack has not been disclosed. On Monday the 27th of November, Raymond appeared in court and was ordered held at the Douglas County Jail without bail. Raymond has a history of misdemeanor assault convictions and violating protection orders. Since 2012, 3 women have filed for harassment or domestic abuse protection orders against him. 2 of the orders were granted. The third was dismissed after the petitioner failed to appear in court. Cecilia leaves behind 3 young children. The investigation into the matter continues. Clarissa Stewart is behind bars for shaking her 2-month-old daughter and slamming her into a changing table. At around 2 p.m. on the 14th of November, Clarissa began noticing her daughter having seizures at her home, located at 2317 Cicely Lane in Abilene, Texas. The seizures continued for more than 6 hours without medical attention. A baby was taken to a hospital at 8 p.m. when Clarissa's mother arrived at her home and witnessed the seizures. The child was first taken to Hendrick Medical Plaza in Abilene for twitching and not acting right. The initial assessment noted a brain hemorrhage, 4 to 5 bruises on the torso, and a bruise to her right eye. The 2-month-old was then flown to Cook Children's in Fort Worth for more specialized care. On the 15th of November, Child Protective Services contacted police to report what appeared to be non-accidental trauma. While questioned, Clarissa told detectives that the 2-month-old baby's injuries could have been caused by her 18-month-old sister. The Cook Children's Care team later refuted those claims, stating that the near-fatal injuries are not explained by trauma caused by another young child. As police investigated, they issued a search warrant for Clarissa's phone where they discovered her search history. On the 14th of November, Clarissa searched the internet for things like, why is my baby sleeping more than usual? What are the symptoms of shaken baby syndrome? How long for shaken baby symptoms to appear? Why is my 2-month-old baby drinking less milk? And why is my 2-month-old shaking? After further searching, investigators discovered that on the 19th of September, Clarissa searched symptoms of shaken baby syndrome, indicating that the baby was likely previously abused when she was 13 days old. Police said they also found text messages Clarissa sent to her husband dated on the 21st of October. Clarissa told her husband, I want nothing to do with my baby when you're off. I can't stand her anymore the second she cries. It throws me into a rage. I don't want her. Clarissa eventually admitted to investigators to shaking the baby. She demonstrated with a doll how she shook her daughter 2 to 3 times and then slammed her onto a changing table. She said she did this because the baby had been crying from 7 a.m. to around 1 to 2 p.m. and this caused her to lose control. The 2-month-old girl now requires a feeding tube due to no longer having a suck and swallow reflex and will undergo surgery to relieve pressure on her brain. On Wednesday the 29th of November, Clarissa was arrested and charged with injury to her child. She remains held at the Taylor County Jail with bond set at $100,000. The investigation into the matter continues. 84-year-old Barton Seltman is behind bars for fatally beating his wife during an argument over money for the cat's vet bill. At 2:26 p.m. on Tuesday the 28th of November, authorities responded to a home on the 1900 block of North Kime Street in Lower Pottsgrove Township, Pennsylvania, after Barton called 911 on report of an unresponsive woman. He told dispatch he believed his wife was dead and that someone beat her. He also said that the kitchen in the home was ransacked and his wife was bleeding from the head. When officers arrived, they found Barton on the rear porch with his hands, face and clothing covered in blood. Officers then found the deceased body of his wife, 85-year-old Margaret Seltman, in the kitchen with injuries to her head. Barton was treated by medics at the scene for an injury to his hand and told them that he had injured his wife during a fight. Barton was then taken to Lower Pottsgrove Police Department. Meanwhile, investigators found a small kitchen knife under Margaret's body, as well as shards of glass from a broken candle jar. They later determined that she'd been struck several times in the head while on the ground. The medical examiner determined the cause of death was blunt force injuries to the head, and her death was ruled a homicide. During an interview with detectives, Barton said that he and his wife are arguing over money for the veterinary care of their pet cat. He said the argument escalated when his wife grabbed a knife and threatened to kill him. Barton said that he then grabbed a chair and pushed the legs of the chair into his wife. She then fell back and struck her head on the floor. Barton said he didn't spot a knife in his wife's hand, but he still repeatedly punched her and then used a candle holder to strike her in the head. Barton said his wife said, "You're killing me," and then she went to sleep. After the interview, Barton was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and third-degree murder. He's held at the Montgomery County Correctional Facility without bail. The investigation into the matter continues. A 42-year-old man is behind bars after shooting a stranger in the face outside a strip club for not sharing his potato chips. At around 9 p.m. on Tuesday, the 28th of November, authorities responded to Akron City Hospital in Akron, Ohio after receiving a call about a shooting victim. When police arrived, they spoke with the victim, 31-year-old Jacob Hicks. Jacob told the officers that about half an hour earlier, he was in the driver's seat of his vehicle outside Lusty's Adventure at 41 Stanton Avenue in Akron, Ohio, when a man he didn't know approached him. Jacob said the suspect asked him for some of his potato chips, but when he refused, the suspect pulled out a gun and shot him in the face before fleeing in an unknown vehicle. Jacob said that he then drove himself to Summer Hospital, where he was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. During the investigation, authorities identified the suspect as 42-year-old Melvin Wright. At 6:30 p.m. the following day, police spotted Melvin boarding a bus. The bus pulled over near the intersection of South Broadway Street and East Thornton Street, and Melvin was arrested. During his arrest, police found a handgun in his possession. Melvin's charged with felonious assault and weapons under disability and is held at the Summit County Jail. The investigation into the matter continues. A homicide investigation is underway after a 47-year-old man was fatally shot. At just before 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday the 29th of November, authorities responded to 914 Harris Avenue in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found an unresponsive man sitting in the van at the front of a property with gunshot wounds. He was rushed to OU Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. The victim was identified as 47-year-old Matthew Brooks. No arrests have been made. However, authorities said a suspect was seen leaving the scene on foot. The motive of the shooting is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. 31-year-old Andre Derek Ford is behind bars after his malnourished 6-year-old son was found dead with bruises and sores. At 12:51 p.m. on Tuesday the 28th of November, authorities responded to an apartment on the 200 block of North Locust Street in Hagerstown, Maryland on reports of an unresponsive boy. When officers arrived at the scene, they found the deceased child laying on the lino floor with a pillow under his head and shoulders. He was wearing sweats, but his arms were not inserted through the designated armholes. His hair was wet and he was cold to touch. The child appeared emaciated and had bruising all over his body, as well as open sores and suspected cigarette burns. An autopsy determined the boy only weighed 32 pounds and suffered from severe malnutrition and starvation, and had possibly been dead for 2 days before the discovery. Police identified the victim's father, Andre, as a suspect and said he neglected to provide proper care and medical treatment to the child. Officers also found a 5-year-old boy at the premises and removed him from the home for medical treatment. He also showed signs of malnutrition and had not been fed. While questioned, Andre told officers he last saw his 6-year-old son alive at approximately 9 p.m. the previous night playing with his brother. He said he poured water on his son's face to wake him up, and that's why his hair was wet. He said his son had been misbehaving and wouldn't eat because he wanted his biological mother back in his life. He said that the mother wasn't involved with the children. He said he spanked his son and he said he tried to feed him. He said he last brought his son to a doctor about a month ago. Andre was arrested and charged with first-degree child abuse resulting in death, first-degree child abuse resulting in severe physical injury, and neglect of a minor. He was booked into the Washington County Detention Center. He appeared in court on the 1st of December, where the judge ordered Andre to be held without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 27-year-old Cornetia Lindsay is behind bars for killing her 2 young sons. On Saturday the 2nd of December, authorities responded to a home at 1129 8th Street in Harmony, Pennsylvania, on reports of a 4-month-old baby not breathing. On the 21st of October, Harmony police responded to the home under the same circumstances for Quenisha's 2-year-old son. Investigators said that Quenisha admitted to causing both the children's deaths. Quenisha told detectives that she strangled her 4-month-old son and caused the October death of her 2-year-old son by suffocating him. Beaver County District Attorney David Lozier said the death of her 2-year-old son was under investigation and the cause of death was not determined at the time. He also said that officials had no reason to suspect any of the other children were at risk. He added that the incident was being monitored by Children and Youth Services and the police. Quenisha was arrested and charged with abuse of a corpse and murder charges and is held at the Beaver County Jail. This isn't Quenisha's first run-in with the law. In August of 2019, police in Sunrise, Florida arrested her for abusing another one of her toddler sons by repeatedly slamming his head into a metal bedpost. David Lozier said officials weren't aware of that at the time of the 2-year-old's death in Harmony Township. The investigation into the matter continues. David Rodriguez is behind bars and is accused of robbing a bank. At around 11 a.m. on Monday the 27th of November, a man dressed in a black sports coat, white shirt and a Santa Claus hat walked into Vera Bank at 1718 11th Street in Huntsville, Texas and robbed it. The man also had a full face covering on and black sunglasses and carried shopping bags. Investigators said the man didn't display a weapon during the robbery, but demanded money from the teller who complied. The suspect then fled the scene on foot. That same day, a security camera image of the suspect was captured and posted on Huntsville Police Department Facebook page, asking for the public's help to identify the suspect. On Friday the 1st of December, detectives arrested David and charged him with robbery as well as 2 counts of aggravated assault on a peace officer, taking a weapon from a peace officer, and resisting arrest. The investigation into the matter continues. 43-year-old Eddie Michael Bird and 36-year-old Rachel Lee Mabe are behind bars on multiple charges after authorities discovered a drug lab inside their mobile home. On the night of Thursday the 30th of November, Lee County Narcotics Units executed a search warrant on their RV at 6831 Old Jefferson Davis Highway in Cameron, North Carolina. Once inside, drug agents found Eddie, Rachel and their juvenile child, as well as fentanyl, meth, and precursor chemicals used in the manufacturing of meth. The couple were arrested and charged with manufacturing meth, 2 counts of possession with intent to sell and deliver meth and fentanyl, 5 counts of possession of precursor materials with intent to manufacture meth, maintaining dwelling for sale of controlled substance, misdemeanor child abuse and possession of drug paraphernalia. Eddie and Rachel each held at the Lee County Jail on $100,000 bonds. The investigation into the matter continues. A couple from Conway, Arkansas are behind bars for trying to have sex with children in Bentonville, Arkansas. On Monday the 27th of November, 26-year-old Benjamin Coney and his wife, 25-year-old Emily Brinley, were arrested and charged with internet stalking of a child and conspiracy to commit rape. Benjamin and Emily started communicating online with a person who was an undercover detective with the Benton County Sheriff's Office. Benjamin told the detective his wife likes them young and wanted to see him have sex with a prepubescent girl. Benjamin told the detective she and his wife could perform a sex act on him while he was sexually involved with the child. Benjamin said his wife wanted to also meet and play and agreed to travel to Bentonville. The couple drove approximately 185 miles to the predetermined meet location and were arrested by sheriff's detectives. Detectives found 2 sexual aids, cell phones, lube, and the receipt for the lube in the couple's vehicle. Emily told the detective in an interview that she was trying to be a good wife and said she wasn't interested in children. She said she wasn't going to do anything with children and just wanted to make her husband happy. Emily said her husband told her it was sketchy, but they were already close to the meeting location. Emily told the detective her husband once told her he wanted to have a baby, and if it was a girl he could have sex with her. Benjamin told the detective child sexual abuse material would be found on his electronic devices. Benjamin said he could talk a big game on the phone, but he did not think he would actually do anything in real life. He said he changed his mind once in Bentonville, but the detective confronted him for calling and asking if the children were still nude after the bath 2 minutes before calling to report they were at the meeting location. Benjamin said his wife would not do it without him, and she would not tell him no. They've each been held at the Benton County Jail on a $200,000 bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 31-year-old man is behind bars for beating and stabbing a woman. On the afternoon of Friday the 1st of December, authorities responded to the 4000 block of Eichmann Road in Petite, Texas on report of an injured woman. When deputies arrived, they found a woman who had been beaten, stabbed, and had her throat slashed, and she was rolled up in plastic and left on the grass near the side of the road. The woman was taken to San Antonio Hospital in a serious condition. Investigators identified Roger Ortega Gonzalez of 9143 Lytle Street in San Antonio as the suspect. He was wearing an ankle monitor when he attacked the woman. On Saturday the 2nd of December, deputies arrested Roger at his home, roughly 15 miles from the crime scene, and charged him with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He remains held at the Atascosa County Jail with bond set at $275,000. The motive of the attack is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. 32-year-old Lamar Hall is behind bars after shooting into a crowd, killing a teenager and injuring several others. Authorities said that around 8:30 p.m. on Saturday the 2nd of December, gunfire erupted at a large ATV trail ride, bonfire party and concert held at 281 West Port Hudson Plains Road in Port Hudson, Louisiana. Deputies responded to the scene on reports of a shooting when they found 16-year-old Latora Smith unresponsive with gunshot wounds. He died at the scene. Authorities said that more than 20 rounds were fired. Multiple others were injured as they tried to flee from the area, but are expected to be okay. Detectives said that Lamar admitted to firing his weapon at the event in which more than 1,000 people attended, claiming there was a large shootout with other unknown individuals. On Sunday the 3rd of December, he was booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on charges of murder and illegal use of a weapon. Several other unidentified suspects were detained for their involvement in the shooting, but there's been no other announcement of further charges. The investigation into the matter continues. Police are searching for a suspect who fatally shot a 37-year-old laundromat owner during a robbery. The incident occurred at 5:48 p.m. on Friday the 1st of December, when a gunman tried swiping a gold chain belonging to Money Perkins inside Manier Laundromat, located at 4710 Clarendon Road in Brooklyn, New York. During the robbery, the suspect shot Money multiple times in the face and torso and fled the scene with the victim's chain. Medics rushed Money to the Kings County Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. No arrests have been made to date, as the investigation into the matter continues. 27-year-old Angel Foreman is behind bars for stabbing a woman inside her home. At around 3 a.m. on Wednesday the 29th of November, authorities responded to a residence at 4640 Lemonwood Drive in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on reports of a disturbance. When officers arrived at the house, Angel was applying a shirt to the victim's chest where she had been stabbed. Angel said she stabbed the victim with a knife that was inside her kitchen. Officers found blood in different areas of the premises. Police applied a chest seal to the victim where the wound was located. Medics arrived at the scene and took the victim to a hospital in a critical condition, who underwent emergency surgery. Angel told authorities the victim got a ride to her home and started drinking and became too loud and belligerent. She said she asked the victim to leave the house multiple times. She said the victim began to beat on the door and windows of the home, trying to get back in. Angel told officers that she then opened the door and showed the victim that she called the police. After the victim forced herself back into the residence, Angel ran towards the dining room table and grabbed a knife. Angel said that when she turned around, the victim was near her, which caused her to start swinging the knife several times in the victim's direction, stabbing her. Angel was arrested and charged with attempted second-degree murder and was booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison. The investigation into the matter continues. Evanson Moran is behind bars after fatally shooting 40-year-old Sophie Westmoreland during a dispute inside a restaurant. At just before 9 p.m. on Thursday the 30th of November, authorities responded to Fried Rice King at 7490 Old Highway in Riverdale, Georgia on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Sophie inside the store in a critical condition with gunshot wounds. He was rushed to a local hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Investigators said that an altercation between the two men escalated when Evanson pulled out a gun and fatally shot Sophie. Evanson was arrested and booked into the Clayton County Jail on charges of murder and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. It's unclear what the argument was about. The investigation into the matter continues. 3 men have been arrested for dealing with fentanyl. On Thursday the 30th of November, investigators with the Metro Area Narcotics Task Force developed information leading them to 31-year-old Kohlberg's home on 93rd Street Southeast in Bismarck, North Dakota. Officers executed a search warrant and found Cole hiding in the small room behind a false wall in the basement. 19-year-old Richard Millard and 20-year-old James Washington, both of Detroit, Michigan, were also hiding and were found in a bedroom closet. Inside the room where Richard and James were located, officers found a backpack containing James's identification and more than 1,500 fentanyl pills weighing approximately 150 grams. Around $4,100 was found on a bed in the same room. Cole told officers he helped Richard and James sell the drugs locally, in exchange for housing and a discounted price on drugs he himself used. Authorities said that the value of the drugs seized were worth more than $22,000. All three men were arrested and held at the Burleigh County Jail. Cole is charged with conspiracy to deliver more than 40 grams of fentanyl. Richard and James each face a similar charge, and possession with intent to manufacture and deliver more than 40 grams of fentanyl. On Friday the 1st of December, a judge set Cole's bond at $20,000. Bonds for Richard and James were set at $50,000 each. The investigation into the matter continues. 23-year-old Om Brumbert is behind bars for fatally shooting his grandparents and uncle in a condo where they all lived. At around 9 a.m. on Monday the 27th of November, authorities responded to a unit in the Traditions condo complex on Cupola Drive in South Plainfield, New Jersey, and reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found 3 victims suffering from gunshot wounds. Dilip Kumar Brumbert and Bindu Brumbert, both 72, were pronounced dead at the scene with gunshot wounds to their heads. A third victim, 38-year-old Yash Kumar Brumbert, was found in a critical condition with multiple gunshot wounds. He was transported to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police spoke to Om, who was at the scene, and when asked about the shooting, he replied it might be me. Om had a gun that he bought online in his possession and said that he shot his grandparents while they slept in their bedroom. He then went to the back bedroom where he shot his uncle several times. He was arrested and charged with 3 counts of murder and 3 counts of second-degree possession of a weapon for unlawful purposes. He remains held at the Middlesex County Jail while he waits for his case to be presented to a grand jury. The motive of the shooting is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. A 21-year-old man shot his ex-girlfriend and her family before turning the gun on himself. At around 4:20 p.m. on Sunday the 3rd of December, authorities responded to a home at 9756 Royce Drive in Dallas, Texas on reports of a shooting. When officers arrived, they found 5 people shot at the home. 3 adults, 50-year-old Jose Lopez, 33-year-old Karina Lopez, and 20-year-old Vanessa De La Cruz died at the scene. A 15-year-old girl and a 1-year-old boy were transported to a local hospital, where the toddler died from his injuries. The boy was identified as Logan De La Cruz. The teen was treated and released. A 13-year-old girl was also inside the home at the time of the shooting and was not injured. During the investigation, authorities identified the victim's next-door neighbor, 21-year-old Byron Carrillo, as a suspect. Karina and Jose Lopez were the parents of Vanessa De La Cruz, and Logan was her son. Family members said that Vanessa and Byron had been living together next door to her parents, but that she moved out and back in with her parents because he was known to be violent towards her. Authorities said that Byron had an ankle monitor on his leg for a 2021 aggravated assault charge. Authorities said that Byron was ordered to wear the ankle monitor in late November. Part of his bond condition said he was not allowed to be near Vanessa or Jose, the victims of the assault case. Police said Byron walked into the home and began shooting. Authorities said that Byron cut the ankle monitor off either just before or immediately after the murders. Following the shootings, Byron stole a vehicle after leaving the scene. Highway Patrol located Byron heading south on the Interstate 35 in the Austin area, roughly 190 miles away. Officers gave chase before Byron crashed the vehicle into a ditch, then ran from the vehicle and the officers. When the officers got close to him, Byron shot himself in the head and he died at the scene. 37-year-old Gloria Lena Hughes is behind bars for beating her toddler son to death. At 5:25 a.m. on Sunday the 3rd of December, an off-duty deputy driving by 404 North Main Street in Bel Air, Maryland, spotted a woman standing in the middle of the street holding a lifeless child. The deputy called for assistance and officers quickly arrived at the scene. Police began life-saving measures on the boy, who was identified as 3-year-old Jason Garcia. Medics transported Jason to University of Maryland Upper Chesapeake Medical Center. Doctors found he had a large skull fracture and some sort of road rash on his face. He was unable to be saved and was pronounced dead at 6 a.m. Bel Air police said significant evidence, including video evidence, led investigators to arrest Gloria on charges of first-degree murder and child abuse resulting in death. Authorities said that Jason's father called Morgantown, North Carolina police on Saturday the 2nd of December and said that Gloria and his son were travelling to Maryland amid a custody dispute. That same day, a resident encountered Gloria with a crying toddler. She reportedly told the person not to worry about it and drove off. Later that night, Gloria and Jason went to the emergency room of the Upper Chesapeake Medical Center because Jason ingested a boric acid suppository. The two left the center at around 12:15 a.m. on Sunday morning. Hours later, surveillance video then captured Gloria in the parking lot of the Self-Storage Plus business at 423 North Main Street, slamming her son's head against asphalt several times and grabbing the child's legs and slamming him to the ground. He died from extensive head and facial trauma. During a bail review, Gloria sounded confused. She could not tell the judge what day it was or even why she was there. The judge ordered a competency evaluation and denied her bail. The prosecutor described the facts as horrific, heinous, barbaric and unfathomable. Gloria remains held at the Harford County Detention Center. The investigation into the matter continues. 34-year-old Isaac Platt has been charged in the strangling death of a 65-year-old man. On the 29th of October, authorities responded to a vacant lot in the area of Crockett Street and Avenue C in Beaumont, Texas on reports of a deceased person. When officers arrived, they found a decomposed man's body wrapped in a sleeping bag, a tarp, and covered with several tires. The victim was later identified as 65-year-old Johnny Tomlinson. An autopsy determined his cause of death to be strangulation. Investigators developed information and later identified Isaac as a suspect. Johnny was residing at a transient camp with two other men, one of whom was Isaac. A witness told police he saw an argument between Isaac and Johnny, where Isaac accused Johnny of stealing his drugs. The witness left and came back later that night and went to sleep. When he woke up, he noticed Johnny wasn't there, but his bicycle was. Johnny was reportedly never without his bicycle because he had difficulty in walking due to a medical issue. Later, the witness and Isaac got into an argument about the witness's dog eating Isaac's food. The argument turned physical, during which time Isaac said, "Do you want to end up like Johnny?" while pointing to the area where the body was later found. On the 6th of December, while questioned by investigators, Isaac admitted to killing Johnny and brought detectives to the scene of the crime and provided them with details of the murder that only the killer would have known. Isaac was already being held at the Jefferson County Jail on an unrelated charge and is now being held on the murder charge. His bond's been set at $950,000. If convicted, Isaac faces up to life in prison. 21-year-old Scott Goldberg has been denied bail after his mother died almost 2 weeks after he beat her with a hammer. At 10:52 p.m. on Sunday the 19th of November, authorities responded to a home in the 200 block of Mayfield Court in Thousand Oaks, California on report of a possible assault. When deputies arrived, they found 63-year-old Allison Marshall inside the residence suffering from significant life-threatening injuries. Deputies also found her 64-year-old husband, who was also injured after being attacked with a hammer. They were both transported to a local hospital for advanced medical treatment. Authorities identified the couple's son, Scott, as a suspect and he was arrested at the scene. Scott was initially booked into the Ventura County Jail on charges of assault with a deadly weapon and attempted murder. His bond was set at $510,000. On the 1st of December, Allison died from her injuries in the hospital. Her autopsy results are pending, but her death is now being investigated as a homicide. Prosecutors plan to file a murder charge against Scott, and a judge has denied him bail at a recent court hearing. A probable cause hearing is scheduled for the 20th of December. The motive in the attacks is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. A gunman killed several people at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas before being fatally shot by police. At around 11:45 a.m. on Wednesday the 6th of December, 67-year-old Anthony Polito entered the university campus armed with a handgun, opened fire and killed 3 staff members and wounded another. Anthony was then killed in a shootout with police who responded to the scene. Authorities said that Anthony was upset because he applied for a professorship at the university but was rejected. It's believed that he then targeted certain people at the campus. The investigation into the matter continues. A 26-year-old man is behind bars for fatally shooting a 39-year-old man at a gas station. At around 8:15 a.m. on Wednesday the 6th of December, authorities responded to the Marathon gas station at 335 East Pine Street in Mount Airy, North Carolina on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found a deceased man laying on the ground next to a gas pump with a gunshot wound to his head. The victim was identified as Augustin Luna. A suspect matching the description given by witnesses was spotted near the scene of the shooting at 9:12 a.m. Authorities identified the gunman as Austin Tyler Hawks. He was arrested and charged with murder. He's held at the Surrey County Detention Centre without bond. The motive of the shooting is unclear, as the investigation into the matter continues. Police are investigating a homicide after a 44-year-old man was found fatally shot in the backyard of a property. At 10:56 p.m. on Thursday the 30th of November, authorities responded to 411 Crawley Street in Americus, Georgia on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found an unresponsive man laying on the ground behind a home with a gunshot wound. First aid was rendered until medics arrived, and the man was transported to Phoebe Sumter Regional Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. The victim was identified as 44-year-old Kewan LaQuint Morgan. No arrests have been made to date, and the motive in the killing is unclear, as investigation into the matter continues. 36-year-old Alexis Allen is behind bars for fatally shooting her ex-boyfriend Ronnie Moore during a dispute. The incident occurred on Friday morning on the 1st of December at William and Lee Park in Port Allen, Louisiana. Authorities said that Alexis went to the park with a group of people, where she got into an argument with Ronnie and shot him as he sat in the driver's seat of a car. Police responded to the scene on reports of shots fired, and found Ronnie in his vehicle deceased with multiple gunshot wounds. Police identified Alexis as the suspect, who fled the scene but turned herself into authorities the following day. She was booked into the West Baton Rouge Parish Detention Center and charged with second-degree murder. Authorities said Alexis had a pending domestic violence charge with Ronnie after she hit him with her car. The investigation into the matter continues. Police are searching for 19-year-old Anthony Jamal Johnson, who's wanted in the shooting death of 39-year-old Antoine Strickland. At around 3:15 p.m. on Thursday the 30th of November, authorities responded to the 100 block of Success Court in Statesboro, Georgia on reports of a shooting. When officers arrived, they found Antoine lying in the driveway of a home with multiple gunshot wounds. He was transported to East Georgia Regional Medical Center, where he died from his injuries. Authorities said they believe the homicide was a witnessed event. Detectives spent the evening processing the scene and following up on various leads. During the investigation, authorities identified Anthony as a suspect and have issued warrants for his arrest for murder and aggravated assault. The motive behind the shooting is unclear, as investigation into the matter continues. On the morning of Saturday the 2nd of December, a 48-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of murdering his wife and his infant son. Police found the body of 10-month-old Zeke Gregory Best in the wooded area, about 24 miles east of Idaho Falls in Idaho, after hunters called to report finding a man in a sleeping bag on the side of the road, on Kipps Crossing Road near Dan Creek Road. The caller stated the man began wandering around naked, making odd statements. The man was identified as the infant's father and suspected killer 48-year-old Jeremy Albert Best. Authorities had been searching for the pair since 11:39 p.m. on Thursday the 30th of November, when Teton County deputies were dispatched to their home at 4600 Skyline Loop in Victor, Idaho, to respond to a disturbance heard over the line by a 911 dispatcher. When deputies arrived, they found a deceased woman identified as 38-year-old Carly Jean Randall inside the residence. Authorities said they believed Jeremy murdered his wife he lived with and fled the area in a black 1995 Chevrolet Tahoe SUV with her son Zeke. Jeremy was apprehended by the Bonneville County deputies earlier that day at around noon for strolling around Swan Valley General Store without any clothes on. The nude man was caught on CCTV footage bizarrely slouching on the counter next to the cash register and grabbing a cigarette, before he was escorted out of the building by several people. He was taken by ambulance to the East Idaho Regional Medical Center. He underwent testing for medical and mental health concerns. Within hours, Jeremy was discharged from the hospital and returned home to kill his wife and kidnap his child. Police issued an Amber Alert at 4 a.m. on Friday the 1st of December, naming Jeremy as an armed and very dangerous homicide and kidnapping suspect, At 9:17 a.m. on Saturday the 2nd of December, Jeremy's black SUV was found down an embankment off the roadway in the area where he was discovered by hunters. Zeke was pronounced dead at the scene, but police did not say where his body was found or identify his manner of death. After being treated by medics, Jeremy was taken into custody on an arrest warrant issued in connection with Carly's death. He's held at the Bonneville County Jail, and further charges are expected. The investigation into the matter continues.